Coming up now on Animal Outtakes, we get up close to some of the most ancient feline species in the modern cat world. Our crew travels to a conservation center in Florida that allows us a unique experience with the fastest land animal on Earth. Plus, it's citizen science time. We're lacing up our boots, heading out with a group of volunteers to find out what biodiversity we have here on the Suncoast. And we meet Gary, a python native to Australia. Lucky for me, it was after lunch. This and much more straight ahead on Animal Outtakes. Panther Ridge Conservation Center is home to some of the world's most amazing and endangered big cats. Once a cat is accepted at the center, it will never again need another home. The nonprofit hopes that engaging the public with their felines will make people care about the future of the big cats in the wild. Take a look at our intimate experience with these incredible animals.
They truly are one of God's most magnificent creatures. We have 4 incredible keepers, very dedicated and devoted. This will be Onyx. She is a melanistic jaguar, and she is, I believe, 4 years old and came to us from a zoo in Oregon.
Well, here she comes. Look at those magnificent eyes.
Look at the shine on her coat.
Yeah. She says, I'm going to come out. Look at all these people looking at me.
Look at those nails. You cannot let your guard down.
Oh, that was a good stretch.
You're showing us your yoga poses. All cats love boxes. All right, there goes your arm. Pop.
Judy, it's so good to be here with you today. We're in a slice of heaven.
Yes, we are.
You have such a beautiful, compelling story.
Well, I started out to be a personal pet owner. However, I soon realized that this is not for everyone. And I began to set up the farm that I was on as a rescue facility because so many people would get young exotics, and after not too long, it's, uh-oh, where do I get rid of this thing? And so I became one of those places you could get rid of that thing. And I took quite a few animals in, and which was wonderful. And a lot of them really were lovely animals. It's just people don't understand them.
Sure.
And then after a few years, I realized I can't take care of this all by myself. So I incorporated and became a nonprofit. And from the original rescue mission, we have added in conservation issues, support of conservation projects in Africa and Asia. And also we are an educational facility. So every time someone takes a trip here or does one of our experiences, they are learning. They're taking a class on exotic animals.
But how did you learn to do this?
In order to get my license, I had to apprentice for 1,000 hours. So I started at the very bottom of the totem pole, cleaning, scrubbing, just the daily management of the environment of the animal before I was ever allowed to have hands-on with the animal. So it's a long process, and I do realize that you don't really know anything until you have your own animal.
This is Misha, the Amur leopard, the black leopard, and that's Maggie, Kenzie, the keeper's dog. So Misha is a solo cub, And in order for her to have a companion to play with, we tried out Maggie, and they became the best friends. She's never put her claws out or even bit the dog. She just wants to play and jump and stalk and pounce and, you know, do all the things that she would do if she had a mate or a brother and sister. And Maggie very much enjoys her time out here.
I didn't see that.
She gets to play ball, she gets to run around. It's the land of no rules. Very spoiled. And then over here are two cheetahs. Kendi. This one's Nyamba on the left, and then this is Kendi right here.
Where'd they come from?
They came from a zoo in Kansas, and we got them to be ambassador cheetahs, meaning that these boys are actually leash trained. They go on cheetah walks and teach people all about cheetah conservation. So cheetahs are actually Africa's most endangered big cat. There's less than 6,500 left in the wild. So these boys have an important role to play by preserving their species. Society today has people in almost tunnel vision. And if they don't see it or come across it, they don't think about it. So when you see these magnificent animals and learn about how they're so threatened in the wild, maybe it'll inspire them to care. Going on a walk with them is also extraordinary because nowhere in the world can you get up so close and personal. Obviously you're not going to be touching the cheetahs, but maintaining a safe distance away, seeing them outside of their enclosure, walking around, hopefully that ignites a little bit of inspiration and passion to be involved, maybe support some conservation projects in the wild, share our mission and what's going on here at Panther Ridge to help with these two boys.
When we were with you last, I got to play with two adorable cubs, and I think it were Miko and Mateo?
Mika and Mateo.
Okay.
A cougar and a jaguar.
But how are they doing?
They're doing great. They are thriving. Mateo is a dad.
Very good.
Yes, it took him a long time to get the idea, but he finally did it. And Mika is just fat and sassy. She's a puma, a cougar, a mountain lion. There are 46 names for this cat, depending on what part of the country it's from. Actually, in the wild, these cats would much rather run away from a human than confront them. These are our younger clouded leopard trio. Well, first of all, it's an ancient species, and they have some very interesting characteristics. They have the longest canine teeth per skull size. This cat can climb straight up a tree and straight down, has a tremendous long tail for balance. They spend a good deal of their time in trees. Those are some teeth. These are brother and sister, the clouded leopards, and Grim is the
supervisor.
Supervisor.
They have been hand-reared since their mother was not very nice to them. So pulled them and hand-reared them. They've been bottle-fed, and now we're starting to transition to solid food. So they're eating some ground turkey, as well as still receiving their bottles because they don't quite know how to drink out of a water bowl yet. So
many zoos don't even have a clouded leopard in their collection.
We've been very successful with breeding clouded leopards and raising them.
Where do those cats go after the breeding takes place here? Do they stay with you or do they move on?
I would need more than 3 acres. No, they go on to other homes, zoological facilities, and for those species where the genealogy is tracked, it will be, you are advised by a species coordinator where an offspring should go.
You're preserving these animals basically? It starts here in Florida and then goes wherever.
Well, sure, in my own little way I am. But to say that I'm preserving them, I'm helping. I think that when they go on to zoological facilities, then, you know, it just mushrooms out. You know, we're trying to get the right genes in the right places. This is Minnow and Finley. They are fishing cats, and Finley came from South Carolina to us, and she's been here maybe a month. Oh, let's see if, but these are a rare endangered species, fishing cats, from around Sri Lanka, the eastern coast of India. They have a coat like an otter so that they can dive in the water and stay dry. Semi-retractable claws, webbed feet. It's just like 5 fish hooks out there. Well, I used to take this cat in the passenger seat with me years ago.
Who is this?
This is Amos. Famous Amos.
When people come here, as you point out, you're now talking about conservation and you're talking about education, which certainly all of us need about these exotics. But what do you hope that they take away other than the basic education you teach them?
They take away something in their heart that makes them want to delve deeper into conservation and find out what they can do to help whatever species, whether it's a lizard or a big cat or an elephant. They all need help. And if we can get more people interested in doing that little bit of soul searching and putting their heart into it, the world is going to be better.
For more information on how you can help or to schedule an experience at the Loxahatchee location, go to pantherridge.org. Coming up next on Animal Outtakes, we're exploring a newly opened area of a Manatee County park, documenting what we find using an app. See how this group of volunteers is making a difference. We'll be right back. Dante's Den presents Top Dog 2021. Join us for a one-of-a-kind dog show. Enjoy dinner and cocktails, and have your dog compete to win the Top Dog Award. Don't miss a chance to meet our special guest, renowned psychic Michael Bodine, all emceed by Bob Harrigan of ABC 7. Choose your night, Saturday, October 9th, 6 p.m. at the Bradenton Yacht Club, and Saturday, October 16th, 6 p.m. at the Bird Key Yacht Club. Get your tickets now. Welcome back. In celebration of National Public Lands Day, staff and volunteers explored a newly open area in the Rye Preserve in Manatee County. Citizen scientists use their electronics to document plants and animals using an app. It's called iNaturalist, and together we collected data that reflects our biodiversity. Organizers say this information is vital to informing policymakers about management and conservation of natural resources.
The area that we're going to be on is a new section of Rye Preserve. It's 34 acres that we acquired in 2019. We don't really know what's out there, so this is kind of our baseline. This is our first peek out there with a big group, and over time we're going to be able to use that to kind of monitor what changes in the habitats. We are going to be doing our BioBlitz. So a BioBlitz is an activity where you take and catalog as much biodiversity, as many animals, as many plants, whatever you can find in a short period of time. So for our purposes today, we're doing a short BioBlitz. It's 2 hours long, and we're using an app called iNaturalist. And the great thing about this is that you don't have to know what it is. So we're gonna go, our goal is to take as many pictures of as many plants and as many animals, and then after all of these images have been uploaded, we can take our time to identify all the stuff out here.
A lot of this seems daunting at first, but once you start to really learn how to look at plants, you start to combat something called plant blindness. Many people just see this as a sea of green, but I see this as a lush, diverse habitat home to thousands of plants and animals. And if we don't have these habitats, we start to see long-term issues such as, more erosion, more invasive species, less clean air and water. Climate change can help to be stopped by just preserving and restoring a lot of these communities. And that's what Selby Gardens helps to do, is to help protect our plant life.
We manage Rye Preserve because of water. So Lake Manatee Dam was actually built as a major source of drinking water, and Rye is kind of the floodplain for that. So if if any of the water came out of Lake Manatee at a high volume, and you see this during tropical storms, water comes up. We have a 10-foot difference between where we're standing right here and the surface of the river, but during a storm, that will come all the way up into this parking lot. So this site is here to manage water, and all of the land and all of the water are connected, especially in Manatee County. So anything we do to manage land here helps protect our water. And that's why it's important to kind of know what's out there so we know how to manage it, know how to protect it.
Florida has over 2,000 native plants and several hundred invasive species of plant. And 400 of our native plants are not found anywhere else on Earth. In fact, there are even some that are only found in our counties, like the Minnesota pawpaw, a pawpaw shrub found nowhere else except for Sarasota and Manatee. So the goal of this project is to help record all the beautiful plant diversity that we see. We also look into plant-insect interactions, and thankfully there are many other groups like the Audubon Society that are helping to track all the animals. Some of our volunteers have, just in the span that EcoFlora has been running, so less than 2 years, they have found over almost 3,000 different species of plants, and if you count animals, well over 3,000. And they have helped us discover over 70 new species in Sarasota and Manatee counties that we hadn't cataloged there before. Most of them native, some non-native. And in fact, we were even able to find a new species of morning glory, the white morning glory, on Lido Beach. And you'd think such a well-traveled beach would have everything discovered, but plants are always finding new habitats. And so that's what we're here to do.
It's exciting because we like adding to kind of the assemblage of natural areas in Manatee County. We maintain over 20,000 acres of preserved land just in Manatee County. And so a lot of that is actually out east here, east of I-75, Rye Preserve, Duet Preserve further east, and all of that's kind of connected by the Manatee River and the water. So being able to come out here and start another project, work on another restoration project, work on another amenities project, because we're going to have trails that connect and get people outdoors. So that's kind of our two big pieces, right? We're really interested in the nature, but we're also really interested in getting people connected to that nature.
If you miss this event, fear not, there are more. You can go to selby.org for information on the next BioBlitz. We'll be right back. Okay, so you have a very beautiful necklace.
Thank you very
and
much.
it's movable.
He's very movable, yes.
And so this is Gary.
Yes, this is Gary. Gary is a carpet python. These guys are native to Australia. Gary is full grown. She's about 9 feet long, and yes, Gary is actually a girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Has she been fed?
She has been fed. She has been fed today, yes.
Okay.
And she can only eat something that is the width of the thickest part of her body or just a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So unless you're
Honey,
this big,
I'm
you're fine.
way bigger. Okay.
You're good.
So how long is Gary right now?
Gary's about 9 feet long. They can get about 8 to 10 feet long.
And how old is she?
Gary, we think, is over 10 years old, so she's up there in age, but they can live into their 20s if they're really well taken care of. So yeah.
Now, how did Gary find her way to Sarasota Jungle Gardens?
Sarasota Jungle Gardens takes in some snakes from different facilities. We also have some animals here that were pet surrendered, or donation animals as well. So none of our animals here are from the wild. They're either from other facilities or they're donation animals.
Now, is it because of her age or just because perhaps she was with somebody? Mm-hmm. She's very docile.
Very docile. Yeah, carpet pythons, as long as you work with them just like anything, just like a dog or a cat, as long as you're working with them every day and giving them nice positive reinforcement, they're going to be really sweet. So Gary is a very sweet girl.
So, positive reinforcement is?
Positive reinforcement is when they are doing a good action, you reward that action. So let's say I wanted her to be handled by me. I'll pick her up. Maybe at first she's a little bit shy. Maybe I'll let her stay if she wants, but I can always feed her after we've interacted together, and it's a nice reward for letting her know that she will be safe when I'm holding her.
What is her diet?
Her diet is basically anything that is the width of the thickest part of her body here. Typically we give them rats or large mice, but typically what she'll get is a nice medium-sized rat once a week.
Now, is this the type of pet that somebody could own in the state of Florida?
Yes, they can. Typically you see people with ball pythons, things that are a little bit smaller and more easy to manage, but yes, you could own a carpet python in the state of Florida.
And what type of housing would you have to have for her?
A decent sized tank area. Obviously you want to have something that is lockable. These guys are very strong. They are constrictors, so they can push lids off. So you want to make sure that it is in a contained area because they are pretty good at getting out. So a large area with lots of places for her to climb upon and to hide under, so that way she feels nice and safe and in a natural habitat.
When people come to the gardens and they see Gary, and she is really quite lovely, I must say, what do you hope that they will take away from this experience?
Hopefully, they will take away that snakes are not here to hurt you in any way. We are a lot bigger than they are, so they are more afraid of us than we are of them. So if people come in here and maybe they're a little bit wary of snakes, we like to kind of give them an up-close encounter if they would like, where they can pet Gary and kind of see how she's acting very natural with us and see that she's not trying to hurt them in any way.
But you do have some that could be a little daunting, correct?
We do have some larger snakes behind me that are quite large compared to Gary.
But nonetheless, Gary is sweet.
She is very sweet, yes, unless you're a rat.
Stay with us. There's more Animal Outtakes coming up next. You may have noticed that during the last season, my co-host Zeus was not sitting beside me. We're sad to report that Zeus passed away a month ago. He had a very valiant struggle with overcoming bloat, but then developed a bad spinal situation that ultimately took his life. Zeus was the epitome of what a rescue dog should be. He came willing to give his heart and soul to me and then to Dante's Den. He came from another county after being thrown in animal services because he was the lookout for a drug ring. And after the bad guys were put into jail, animal services in that county just didn't know what to do with him. So a deputy sheriff started calling around and asking people and sanctuaries if they wanted a German Shepherd. Well, they got to me, and I said, absolutely. So I jumped in my car, and I drove 2 hours, and there was Zeus. He was tied up to a chair in the courtroom. There was no file to tell me anything of his past, no health records, no vaccination records. And so he came into the car with me and we chatted. And the first thing that I asked him, well, what's your name? And I went through the typical shepherd names like Baron, Cody, Dakota. But at one point, I said Zeus. His ears shot up and he looked at me. Now, whether that was his true name or the name he decided he liked, as they say, the rest is history. Zeus had a presence about him, and he had a television personality. We spent many hours filming. When he would see our videographer, Michelle, and the camera coming towards him, he knew he was going to be on, and he'd have to cooperate, and he did, and he just rose to the occasion. And at home, he protected his brothers and me and did an awesome job. Zeus came with an open heart and got into mine. And then he took a portion of my heart with him. He was exceptional, intuitive, intelligent, and extremely loving. And I was so proud to be his mom. We hope you had fun and learned a thing or two along the way. We'll be back here again next week with even more animals and some engaging encounters. Until then, thanks for watching.
Oh,
He doesn't like that piece.
It fell on the ground, forget
Oh
it.
yeah, he doesn't want that piece.
No, no.
Oh boy.